You see, one thing is this. I don't think we are really trying to solve this problem. We are not solving it. It is not Simon Ekpa or Nnamdi Kanu. The major issue there is that there's a group of people in Nigeria who feel that they don't want to be part of Nigeria again. And this, separatist agitations is not only in the East. We have even the Dudua people, in the West, Sunday Igbo, and these people there, and even I've been hearing some people in Arewa also thinking about whether they want to move out, So you find out that there are these different kinds of agitations that are going on. And I think let's forget about these personalities because they are just figureheads. If they die or they are removed, another one will come up, just like what we're doing in the Northeast right now. When Boko Haram, when their leader was killed, another one came up again. In fact, in their own situation, all the leaders, about 3 consecutively coming up with the same name, So that is not the issue. The issue is the problem, and how do we solve that problem? And I think this is high time we sit back, the government should sit back and look at these agitations. Indeed. If there are things that they could do to change it or restructure Nigeria in a different way, I think that is where the solution is.
Talking about solving the problem, we seem to have a history as a nation of responding to secessionist movements with force, as seen during the Biafran Civil War. Some say this approach has often aggravated the situation. Are you saying there are still alternative strategies for government as we speak? Some have suggested dialogues capable of addressing the underlying grievances driving these movements. There are also questions about who are the people to talk to and who are the stakeholders in this regard to hold this conversation. Mr. Macri.
There are different alternative means by which we can solve this problem. And I can tell you, it is not, we are not going to reinvent the wheel in Nigeria. Look at the United States. What is going on? Everybody, all the tribes in the world are represented in the United States. And they have strong institutions. And of course, everybody fall in line to, call themselves US citizens. Okay? And then, of course, now you can imagine the outcome of the recent election. Because it's nationhood people are thinking about, not tribalistic divisions. Look at India. I was so happy when I saw the Prime Minister of India, Modi, visit Nigeria. There are 1.4 billion people. We're only 230-something million people in Nigeria. They have more ethnic groups in India. And how come they all have to, come together, agree, and do what they have to do? Nationhood and patriotism, I think, is what is lacking in the Nigerian situation. So we have to look at that.
Indeed. Let's take this conversation to London. Simon Ekpa claims that a referendum had held and that Biafra has a population of about 50 million people. What do you suggest as we speak as regards what government must do differently to identify the stakeholders, engage them, and ensure that there is peace in that region?
And you see, thank you. Not that we don't have stakeholders in the southern part of the country, which is the Igbo land. Even I personally, myself, as I speak to you, I'm partly Igbo because
I made an illustration yesterday during my video, and I said, if you, for example, when you return to your house in the evening and you saw that your parlor is already flooding because you left the tap open while you were going out, what are you going to do? Are you going to start cleaning the waters on the floor, or you are going to off the tap first? What this man said is just correct, absolutely correct. Now, everybody's just talking about Simon Ekpa, Nnamdi Kanu, this or that. Neither Nnamdi Kanu or Simon Ekpa is the issue. You might not understand what I'm saying. The issue is all about the Biafra agitation. They have fought war about it, you know, right? And a lot of things has happened because of this agitation. So if you think that by stopping anybody who is a figurehead that is fighting for this Biafra liberation or restoration, and when you hold them, meaning, oh, you have, you know, achieved victory, it sounds so silly and so confusing. So anybody who assumes by stopping a figurehead that we quench an idea, it means that the person the person has zero idea in conflict resolution. The person has zero idea about what it means to agitate for your sovereign state. It is like a religion. No? See, agitation is like a religion. It's like when people are Christian, you will just come out to say, America, stop being a Christian. It's not possible. Or you can come out and say, oh, Northern Nigeria, stop being Muslim. You can't be Muslim anymore. It's not possible. So that is what is going on. You know, Biafra agitation is like a religion. And you know the kind of belief people have towards their religion is the same belief people have towards Biafra restoration. It might take a long time, and don't forget that, you know, this idea has been inculcated to a lot of people who are coming out. Teenagers, the youth, even the infants, they are aware of this agitation because they can see the marginalization, they can see everything going on, the injustice going on, and you can come out to justify what is going on. And you say, oh, since we are holding Simon Ekpa, since they have arrested Simon Ekpa, that the issue is going to quench. Never, it's not going to quench. In fact, it is going to escalate more. This is simple logic of conflict resolution strategies. If you have studied conflict resolution, you will understand what I'm saying, that if you really want to stop agitation or you stop all these things, you ask question, why are they agitating? Simple question, why are they agitating? If you can answer that question very well, you are 50% close to, the solution. So the solution is that it is difficult for people, not for people, for us and so many other people to live together in Nigeria because of our differences. We are brothers. We can be good relations and good neighbors of different nationalities. There is nothing wrong about that. I hold the belief that the disintegration of Nigeria is the solution. A lot of people are just praising or chasing cloud, the glory in the cloud about Nigeria. Deep down, they don't know what is going on. If you are on ground, you understand what is going on and what Nigeria is.
You see, anybody that lacks any sense of consciousness would ignore social movements. That is the problem with Nigerian leadership. You cannot have a country in which there are 251 tribes or languages, and one big section says, we are not satisfied with here, and you don't talk to them, you don't understand them. Then you are not a leader of that country. The reason I met him was to understand first what his struggle was about, which I knew already. And secondly, to also advise him on the way that I think we could all work together. And thirdly, to send a message to the Nigerian people that we can walk through our differences, even at these levels. And I was surprised that contrary to what some people are saying, he did not want Nigeria to break up. He wanted a Nigeria where the Igbo man can survive. But for an Igbo man to survive in Nigeria, as it is currently put together, Nigeria must break.
Wait, the meeting you had with Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes.
You are telling us now that Nnamdi Kanu, from what you understand from the meeting with him, he does not want Nigeria to break, to divide.
No, he said clearly that it is too late for Nigeria to come together. But he gave his conditions. We live streamed the meeting now. It's online.
Okay.
And part of it was live streamed. Some of them were private. But he said that he feels that if Nigeria were to respect certain protocols, including a referendum inserted in the constitution, and he still says it even now in court, that if he's released, he will go back and end the bloodshedding. The bloodshedding is in that part, and that a conversation can. He says that in every court appearance, that he's being held is not helping the opportunity to have a conversation about whatever it is, the unity you are begging for. But you see, Nigeria has a problem. And I've always said, Nigeria has an Igbo problem. And I'm not saying it to please people who are known as Igbos. But the moment they decided to take the action they took in 1967 to 1970, the war, Nigeria, having won that war in their eyes, never forgave the Igbos. That is the reality. And if I were to be president of Nigeria today, the first thing I would do is to head to the Southeast and apologize to them for the war. Part of it is that I'd never participated in it. And I cannot continue to fight a war that I did not engage in. And then ask them, what do we want?
So are you saying that the federal government has, till like even before successive governments,
yes,
they've always had this anger against the Igbos?
There is a secret memo, I don't know where it is located, in government, that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. Don't give them position. Don't give them opportunity. Otherwise, they will overrun. It's a well-known fact. Even our parents, tell us, Igbo. You understand? Some of them even say unconsciously. They even say it on radio shows in this country. So don't let us lie to ourselves, because except we bring this out openly and discuss, it's a taboo that we have refused to discuss.
True.
We are not going to solve the problem. It is the reason why the federal government of Nigeria feels that in 2024, detaining Nnamdi Kanu against all the court orders, against all the court rulings, is the only way to go. You know, I was detained in the DSS place for 5 months.
Yes.
There is nothing there to detain anybody. The place is not even functioning. The DSS headquarters. Yes, is it the same DSS people who are watching BB Nigeria from morning to night? No, it's true now. I was there with them for 5 months. I've said this publicly. So all the institutions in this country are broken down. But let's get back to a reality. One thing I've told people is that you are looking at Igbos as the only people who want to secede. But who in this country today has not mentally seceded from Nigeria?
Mentally seceded.
Who has not left, except those who are trapped? If anybody in this country is working in a bank and he has 10 million naira and somebody say you can get into Canada, he will leave the next day.
I swear.
Is that not secession? What of secession is that you leave a country, you say to that country goodbye,
and not do it
you
again.
get to the other country, you bow down, you touch the soil. And then you renounce your citizenship of the country you are coming from. Is that not what they call secession? So if you want to look at the number of people that have seceded in that Japa syndrome, there are more than all the Igbos combined together who are asking to leave. And in the process of keeping Nigeria united, we have let go of more citizens than the country should have. Yes.
So you think if they had, because I mean, from the last thing you said now, you say in the process of trying to keep Nigeria united,
yes,
we have let go of more citizens than we should have.
Of course.
So if we had allowed for the division or secession of Nigeria, most of our citizens that are outside would not have been outside.
No, you see, it is not the secession I'm talking about.
Okay, what are you talking about?
It is what led to the war that we did not address.
Okay.
And what happened after the war. Why is it that Nigeria hasn't been able to overcome the Biafran problem? It's because Nigeria never addressed what the Biafrans were asking for before the war.
What were they asking for?
They were asking for to be treated not as second-class citizens in this country. Don't you know what happened, the called pogrom in this country, where people were slaughtered and their bodies and their heads placed inside the train going down south? Yes, from the north, from the mid, the different parts of the north. Are we ignoring that? So
that happened
before the war. Before the war, that's what they call pogrom.
History.
People who were settled, doing well, they were slaughtering them and sending their bodies and their heads inside calabash and sending on trains that was heading east.
Were they Easterners?
They were Easterners.
Yes,
Why are you asking me? It's there in, go and Google it now. So you expect that will happen, and then there was a war that eviscerated 3 million people. Wow. And when the war was over, you just say, oh, nobody was vanquished, nobody was victorious. And then
3 hours.
But you still kept a memo and said, don't trust them.
Collect people money,
yes.
give them 20 pounds.
And then you took their property. So Ojukwu did not get back JAMB until 1992. Now his father's house, that is known as JAMB headquarters here in Ikoyi. It was after he came back from Ivory Coast. It was Babangida, I think, that gave him back their property. So any country that is perpetually carrying out systemic injustice against will lose more citizens than they should have. The reason why countries that are work is because citizens believe in their country. And you cannot force that belief. It has to come through social justice.
True.
It has to come through economic justice. Why is it that, my children can feel like they're US citizens, even though they were born there? It's because before they let you take them out of the hospital, they must take all their immunity,
everything,
injections. You cannot put them at home and not go back to the doctor to go and complete it. And when it's time for school, they cannot be out of school for 2 days. And you'll be saying that, no, I want Shikira to go and be